Able to seal him. Here's the pass. Oh, what a catch! Leaping into the air and pulling it down is T. Higgins. Burrow facing pressure. Goes over the top. Wide open is Chase. And he splits the defenders for the touchdown. Cincinnati kid, Hubbard's got a convoy, chased by Andrews, at the
30, the 20, he will score. Hooday, Bengal fans. He is Mon. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. Mon, we have a lot to talk about. We are filming this right now on Tuesday night. A lot of Bengals news today on Tuesday for us to talk about tonight as we get ready for the big Monday Night Football matchup, the Bengals Commanders in Paycor Stadium. The blackout game should be an exciting game. You have the Ring of Honor that night as well. You have a Bengals 0-2 team against a Commanders 0-2 team. Oh, no, sorry. Commanders are 1-1. So you have a Commanders 1-1 team coming in. The Bengals, this is a must-win game, right, Mon? I mean, this is a game the Bengals have to win. We're going to discuss that and a lot more. Before we do, though, Mon, I would ask you how your week's going. And as I look at you, something looks different. So I got to know what is going on right now with my man, Mon, and no stash. What's going on, Mon?
Well, Jake, good to see you. After that game Sunday night, I had a minor breakdown, and I decided to shave the mustache. You know why? It was last year's hair follicles. Got rid of them, and I'm going to start all over. Starting all over. Fresh shave. The mustache is coming back, but for 2024. That was 2023 mustache. Starting all over.
Okay, so are you saying then the stash maybe had something to do with that bogus pass interference call, Mon? Is that what you're saying to me?
I'm convinced. I had messages in my head. I'm convinced that's why the Bengals lost. I'm sorry, Bengal Nation. I'm sorry, Bengal Pulse fans. Give me another shot, okay? It's going to grow back thicker and better. Look out, ladies. I mean, seriously, look. I mean, look out.
I don't know what I'm worried more about. Maybe the messages in your head probably is the thing I'm probably the most worried about. Why you're getting messages in your head, but all right, I believe you. We're going to go with the stash. I like it. The 2024 Mon stash is on its way. So hopefully you can grow it out a little bit before Monday Night Football and that big matchup coming up here right around the corner against the Commanders, Mon.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I wish I could be at that game. Monday Night Football in Cincinnati. It's going to be electric. And I think our guys, I feel really, really confident about that game. And we're going to go on a little run here, fellas. I have a take on that, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
All right. Before we do, though, Mon, again, a lot of stuff going on in Bengaldom today on a Tuesday of all days. First, let's talk about the roster move today. Mon, you and I have been talking about this on the Bengals Pulse here for the last week or two. I think we even talked about it last night on Ace and Zim's show as well. And then it happens today. The Bengals bring in a couple of vet defensive tackles and try them out. And they go with Lawrence Guy, 34-year-old who has won a Super Bowl, who has been on a lot of winning organizations. They waived KJ Henry, a guy they just picked up, and Cedric Jackson. The thought maybe being, I guess, that the waiving of Cedric Jackson opens up that spot on the practice squad for KJ Henry. I can see the Bengals easily bringing KJ Henry back onto the practice squad. What are your thoughts on Lawrence Guy? Let me throw out some stats real quick, Mon, and then I want to hear your take on this. Again, Started with the Green Bay Packers, played for the Colts, the Chargers, the Ravens, most recently the New England Patriots, which was his longest stint as a pro, 6 years for the Patriots. Obviously, like I said, won a Super Bowl, and now he joins a Bengals football team that dearly needs help. A stout run defender, over 500 total tackles, 17 total sacks, a couple forced fumbles, even has an interception. So a guy that maybe not the ultimate pass rusher from the interior of the defensive line, but a guy, Mon, that brings a stoutness which the Bengals need against the run. What do you think about this move with Lawrence Guy? Are you happy about it?
Yeah, I am. They need reinforcements there. I think we called it with Rankins banged up, and Hill was declared out pretty quick when he left in the first quarter. That hurts. There really are only two vets right now. And bringing in somebody like Guy, this is not a Bengal move. The Bengals don't sign 34-year-old men to come in and play. And obviously he's got a good history. He's a solid player. He's not a superstar, guys, but he's going to come in and give us good quality snaps. I love what he had to say about him. Trags said for the Bengals to get somebody of his quality at this time, they need to consider it a steal. Obviously, Trags covered the Patriots for years. He knows Belichick loved him. He's going to come in. The Bengals are lucky to get him at this time. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Jackson, was the talk of camp a little bit. They let him go. Some people mentioned he could come back after week 4 or 5. KJ Henry, if he clears waivers, I think is going to take that spot on the practice squad. It's going to be interesting to see how many snaps Guy actually plays. He was in camp, so he's in shape. And I expect the Bengals to make a couple other moves. I know we're recording this on Tuesday, so I wouldn't be surprised if Rodgers or Dominic Davis gets called up. They need bodies because right now they only have 2 in Zach Carter and J. Tuafele to play defensive tackle.
Well, Albert Huggins was the other tryout that they brought in. I think he was like in his late 20s. But Lawrence Guy, obviously, like you said, I'm going to read to you what this is Trag's tweet today about Lawrence Guy. He said, 4.5 tech inside the tackle, can play defensive end as well. Stout run defender, will not get moved. Very strong at the point of attack. Not particularly heavy on the pass rush, but a great influence. And I love this. He's a leader in the locker room, known as a leader. He can take on those double teams against the run. And again, like you said, Trags calls it a steal of a pickup. I'm very excited about this, Mon. I think, like you said, you and I we've been Bengal fans over 40 years. And this is not a Bengal move. It's really not. I was actually pretty shocked by it, to be honest. But I love the leadership. I love that he has won a Super Bowl and really maybe can bring some leadership in that defensive line room. You talked about it earlier, Mon. Both are starting tackles right now dealing with hamstring injuries. Coach Taylor talked a little bit about it today, that there was no real update on either one of those guys' hamstring injuries. So no telling where they're going to be on Monday night. Hopefully we can get at least one of those guys back. But I got a feeling that we're going to see Lawrence Guy in a Bengals uniform Monday night. What do you think? You think he's going to be playing on Monday night?
Absolutely, he is. He's a 14-year vet. You don't play 14 years in the NFL and not be highly thought of. And, he's a productive player. He's been an NFL pro for 14 years. That enough tells you what teams think of him. He's going to play. Hopefully he's in decent shape. I think he'll probably give the Bengals 15, 20, 25 snaps. They have to call somebody else up. Hey, Jake, they could sign another player. They are pretty thin at that spot.
Yeah.
They have, I think whoever's number 52 or 53 on the roster has to be a little nervous right now because the Bengals could easily call up somebody. I expect Dominic Davis, who's been on the Bengals roster now for about 2 to 3 years, he can come in. He can give them another 15, 20 snaps. It's going to be the Zach Carter, J2 Afaley show right now. And hey, I like what I saw in the fourth quarter of that Kansas City game. They played really hard, and they played a big part in keeping us in it.
Well, Mon, and let's talk about this too, because I saw this stat today. It's a crazy stat. I don't think people realize how good the Bengals defense has played the first 2 weeks. They have only allowed 272 passing yards in 2 games, one of those being against the defending Super Bowl champion. That's impressive, Mon. I mean, when you think about that in the NFL, that's less than 150 yards a game they are giving up through the air. What are your thoughts on this Bengals, the defensive backs on this team and this pass defense right now for the Bengals? I mean, that's impressive, right? 272 yards in 2 games, one of those against the Chiefs.
It's very impressive. They're tied for 10th in the NFL in total defense right now after 2 weeks. Tied for second passing. They're only giving up 128 yards a game passing the ball, which is impressive. A little misleading. They are 26th in rush yards allowed. But, I think we said it last week's episode that the defensive backfield is the least of my worries.
Yeah.
I think the way the linebackers are dropping and playing, the athleticism in the defensive backfield, Trey Hendrickson playing, MVP type of football at defensive end. We have a bunch of other pieces that are going to be coming back in a few weeks. Just got to keep that defensive line, just keep on playing, just adequate football until the reinforcements come in. Miles Murphy's coming back. BJ Hill's going to come back. There's a lot of solid pros that are going to be coming in. Joseph Osai played really well in the fourth quarter last week. So our defense is rebounding. And, we talked about it during the offseason. Von Bell, Geno Stone, all these veterans. It's good to see. I want to continue seeing that trend. I would love for them to finish the season in the top 10 in defense. They have after the first 2 weeks.
Well, and not only that, but do you know that Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson are tied for second for most tackles right now? Again, we talked about Logan Wilson the last couple of weeks back to form. Now Jermaine Pratt is playing very good football as well. This Bengals defense is only going to get better, but we got to stay healthy, right? We got to stay healthy, and this Bengals defense, hopefully Lawrence Guy comes in and gives us those reps that we so badly need against the run, and even with the Commanders' run game, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. Mon, let's out some other real big news today in Bengaldom. Something that really kind of shook me, took me off guard a little bit, and that is this new proposal for the Paycor Stadium and the upgrades that were revealed. I think Eric has a video real quick. Eric, can you play that video for us right now?
Let's do it.
Oh,
Key for the gateway to the city. The fulcrum from Fountain Square to the Tall Stacks. The pivot point that unlocks every ounce of potential along the river. The beating heart of our hometown, where we show our stripes in every bite, step, smile, and roar. First down, touchdown, get down. This is a cavalcade of memories made. From the jungle to the mighty Ohio, thanks to new green spaces and connections to the banks and downtown, complete connectivity for the city, with Bengals Promenade for enhanced tailgating on game day and public use year-round. This is where Paul Brown Way becomes a new icon, syncing all the parks around all them Tigers training. Easier and safer stadium access, premium seating and breakthrough views at every level. This is groundbreaking growth redefining the way you watch your Bengals, all designed to enhance the way they build for battle. The North End Zone, now the envy of the league. The South End Zone, raised and expanded to meet your expectations for this team. 365 event spaces, a championship experience for the 513. This is a place 56 years in the making, and we're still just getting started. Creating a game day extravaganza for all ages, one that pays homage to rich traditions while raising the bar for an entire region. So I'll ask one more time, who holds the key or the gateway to the city? Every single one of us. When it comes right down to it, you. The new Paycor Stadium, made for Cincinnati to roar.
Wow.
Wow.
Makes me want to run through a wall.
I mean, again, first of all, big shout out to Bengals Jim. Thank you so much for posting that, buddy. We appreciate it. Man, oh man, Mon. I mean, did you ever think all those decades that we sat and watched this team that we would ever see something like this, hopefully coming down the road? I mean, the upgrades and the practice facility, it just unbelievable, right? I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And if this gets done, Mon, the Bengals are going to be in Cincinnati for a very, very long time.
Yeah, they're officially kicked off negotiations. I guess the lease expires in 2026.
That's right.
So this is the starting point. That's a lot of money. I think the county wants the Bengals to come up with $500 million. They want the state to kick in money. They don't want to raise taxes. That's been a real contentious issue in that region. I think it's going to get done. It's beautiful. And as the video said, this is a 360 event. It's not just for 16 weeks in the NFL season, 17 weeks and 10 home games counting preseason. This is going to be used year round, the venue. There's going to be multiple games, concerts there, and the promenade around it is going to be open to the public. It's beautiful. Hopefully they get this. They're going to work something out, guys. They may have a stripped down version of this. I don't know, but the Bengals aren't going anywhere. They're going to figure it out. And negotiations have officially started with this video. I expect the Bengals to be here for a long time.
And how about, I mean, you talked about for other venues, things like the NFL draft, right? I mean, the Bengals, this is a great way for them to sell it. Like, hey, listen, if we build this thing, money will come, right? I mean, you build something like this and it opens so many other doors besides, like what you said, a 17, 18-week NFL season. This thing opens up so many more doors for the city of Cincinnati, and so much money coming in for all these other different venues. I mean, how awesome would it be to have the NFL draft in Cincinnati? That would be crazy.
Let's call it right now on the Bengals Pulse, 2029, 2030, the draft will be in Cincinnati. If you build it, they will come. Let's Field of Dreams, the baseball movie. You build this or you renovate, you get it done, the NFL is going to get you a draft. You're going to get 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 people in downtown Cincinnati over a 3-day period, spending money. It's going to happen. Seriously, that's a lot of cash. Think about all that, all the revenue that's going to get generated there.
Oh yeah,
I get it. The number's staggering, 1.2 billion. I get it. Times are tough. People don't want to spend that, but they're going to get that money back and some if they do this. I think they will.
Yeah, I agree. And again, kudos to the Bengals and Hamilton County and everybody else that's trying to put this thing together. I'm with you. I think I'm not sure what kind of version of this we get, but the Bengals are going to be in Cincinnati for a long time. And I know I always talk about this, but there's definitely a Joe Burrow effect, right? I mean, the Joe Burrow effect has changed the outlook of, the Bengals organization and the money that they're spending right now. So again, kudos to them. And hopefully we see here's some good news about this down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a process. It's not going to get done overnight, but we'll see some steady progress throughout this season. Hopefully, they'll get it done during the off season. But a lot to talk about, and you're right. Big day for Bengal news, and we got a big weekend of AFC North football.
Well, let's talk about this matchup with the 1-1 Washington Commanders. They get blown by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they come back last week and win a nail biter against New York Giants. What are your initial thoughts on this football team, Mon? Starting with, of course, the rookie quarterback that is going to be playing football for them on Monday Night Football.
You know what? What I know about the Commanders, I think their defensive line is nasty. Allen, those players are really good guys. Obviously, the bad history with the knee injury with Joe Burrow. I know they got the rookie quarterback from LSU, Daniels. They're really excited about him. He's got some wheels. Similar to Lamar. Bengals need to be wary of that. They're going to come in. Jake, it's not rocket science. The Commanders are going to come in and try to play Patriot football. Bengals have to know this. But I can tell you something. What I saw from that offense last week in Kansas City, Cincinnati's not going to go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. They're going to come out and put pressure on Washington to have to throw the ball. Monday Night Football in Cincinnati, it's going to be hard to take out our boys that night.
Well, let's talk about some of these stats real quick. The Commanders have allowed, first of all, their defense, and you just were talking about the Bengals offense in that matchup. The Washington Commanders defense, Mon, has allowed a 127.6 passer rating against the two quarterbacks so far that they have faced, one of those being Daniel Jones, which is worst in the NFL. They have allowed the most touchdown passes in the league as well, and the third most 20-plus yard passes. Again, this really could be the week that Joe Burrow and this Bengals passing game really takes off. Last week we saw a tidbit of what maybe is to come down the road, but now facing this depleted Washington Commanders defensive backfield, this could really be a game where Joe Burrow is licking his chops and this Bengals passing game takes off, right?
Yeah, it is. I think we saw glimpses of what could happen with Burton opening things up. I expect him to play a lot more. I think what we saw from the Kansas City game, I'm really excited to I think what we're going to see over the next few weeks is going to be special. I expect this team to go on a significant run. I know we're 0-2 right now. The Cincinnati Bengals are going to be where we expected them to be in a few weeks. Las Vegas has the Bengals as the odds-on favorite to win the AFC North, and they're 0-2. They're 0-2. Vegas knows. Vegas knows this. Cincinnati is going to be just fine. Guys, expect the run. It's going to happen. It's going to start Monday night against the Commanders.
So we have let's look at some of these players. Again, definitely not the same defensive line that we're used to seeing from this Washington Commanders team. They have Farrell and Payne and Allen, obviously picking Farrell up in the offseason, and Armstrong as well. But, obviously Payne and Allen, very good football players, but this is not that. It's not that defensive line that we're used to seeing from this team that, quite honestly, would scare the hell out of you. Bobby Wagner, a name that is well known, starting at Mike linebacker, again, one of the best that's played in this league. Dante Fowler, another name that most of you probably know. He plays one of those outside linebackers in that odd front. Jeremy Chen at safety, another name I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. But this defensive back room, Mon, is not very good. I just read out those stats to you. You have Jeremy Chin, Quan Martin at the other safety. I'm not even sure how to pronounce this guy's name. Noah Igna Bajin or something. I don't know how to pronounce that name. And then Mike Sararisto are those two corners with Benjamin St. Justia as well. So this is not the same Commanders defense that we're used to seeing. I read off the stats about the defensive backs, but this again is a game I think where this Bengals offense can really take off. And you look at this Commanders offense on the other side of the ball, Zach Ertz, obviously a tight end that's had some success. Terry McLaurin, we know, is he's a second tier wide receiver, but he's still very good as far as wide receivers go in the NFL. Brian Robinson, we know his story. And you talked about Jaden Daniels earlier, the rookie quarterback from LSU. They do have 200-yard rushers. Brian Robinson has 173 yards rushing. He's averaging 6 yards a carry. And Jane Daniels at 132 yards rushing. He's averaging 5 yards a carry. So this team can run the football, Mon. Their lead receiver is Austin Eckler. Remember that name from this LA Chargers? He is their leading receiver, and he's a running back. So this is an offense, too, that, again, should be guys like Trey Hendrickson should be licking their chops, right?
Yeah, I mean, going back to the defense real quick, we can't sleep on them. They have a lot of players. Jake, they have 4 first-rounders on that defensive line if you count Dante Fowler. And all of those guys are very capable. Payne and Allen they're a problem. They're a problem. The Bengals have to be ready for that. We have to play keep away. Eckler, we all know about him with the Chargers. McLaurin is a very good football player. Zach Ertz has been around. There's a lot of capable people that have pretty good NFL resumes there. And Cincinnati's got to be ready for it. And I think they will. Playing at home is going to help out. Cincinnati sort of has their footing. They have their mojo back after that exciting, unfortunate loss against the Chiefs. And I think they're going to show up. And, yeah, I expect Washington to make some plays, and it might be close early, but I think Cincinnati's going to pull away for a comfortable victory.
I do too. And again, I think when you look at this Commanders team, again, they have not thrown a touchdown pass yet. So this is a rookie quarterback who I think he might be the best rookie out of this draft class when it's all said and done. But he's a rookie, and this is a game that Bengals defense coordinator Lou Anarumo needs to come out and make it difficult for Jaden Daniels on that offensive side of the ball. And I think Lou will put together something that is going to maybe throw some stuff at him that he's not used to seeing yet. I told you this Bengals defensive backfield on right now is tops in the NFL. Those guys are playing really good right now. We know how well they played against the Kansas City Chiefs last week, holding Kelsey to 1 catch for 5 yards and really once again shutting down Patrick Mahomes. So this is a good matchup for the Bengals. But like you said, this is the NFL, and you cannot take anybody lightly. I think we know that from week 1, right? The New England Patriots, a team that we all felt the Bengals should win that football game, and they should have won that football game. So this is a situation maybe that hopefully the Bengals have learned from it. The good news is, although we've started 1-11 the last 6 seasons, the Bengals have bounced back and played really well the next 2 weeks. So hopefully we're going to see that here these next 2 weeks. And it starts against Washington on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, it does. And, Washington has good quality NFL coaches, and they know the Bengals' weakness right now. I think the only problem we could have is they're going to attack our defensive tackle. They're going to run the ball. They know we're down in numbers. The Bengals are trying to rectify that. We talked about the player they signed today from the Patriots, or that played for the Patriots guy. we got to be aware of that. I think the one way to combat it is to come out and just every time we get the ball, come down and score, chew up the clock, and put the pressure on them where they can't run. Make them throw the ball. Throwing the ball is not their strength. So Cincinnati will be ready for it. You're right. Week 1, they got a dose of it. They figured it out. Played a lot better last week. Kansas City's a good rushing team. We did give up 150 some yards rushing. I get it, but they really tightened up in the second half. I expect the Bengals to be ready for everything Washington's going to throw at them Monday night.
I do too. And again, like I said, I think this is a good matchup for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think it comes at a perfect time. And again, right now, you look at this division. You talked about Las Vegas odds having the Bengals still winning the division. You look at this division. The Ravens are 0-2. They got a tough schedule coming up. The Ravens do. It's not easy. The Steelers at 2-0. They've scored 1 touchdown, in 2 games. Their offense is just atrocious. And the Cleveland Browns, again, you look at a football team that just does not look very good. It doesn't. They played a very bad Jacksonville team. That's another whole story. That Jacksonville team looks like they're playing a complete different sport. So this division is still for the taking. And I think the Bengals right now need to take advantage of that mojo they got from Sunday's game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and it carries them the rest of the way here because this division is still up for Mom.
It is. Nobody's going to run away with it. Pittsburgh is 2-0, but they really haven't played anybody. There's a lot of football left to get played. I think that I disagree with you a little bit. I think the Browns win in Jacksonville is pretty impressive because that defense really, Lawrence couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything, and the defense kept them in the game. Watson and the Browns just made enough plays to win it. Watson and that offense does not scare me, but that defense does a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the defense is good. We know the defense is good. The Jacksonville Jaguars are not good. I'm telling you now, they are not a very good football team. But you're right. I mean, the Browns still defense is tough. Let's get to our AFC North picks and talk a little bit about some of these matchups for these AFC North teams. I know you and I both did our picks. I'm hoping Eric has ours from last week so we can see how well you and I both did. But let's talk about these matchups this week. First, we have are we going to do the Giants-Browns first, Eric? I think Giants-Browns maybe. Mon, why don't you take this one first? Giants-Browns. Ooh, this is going to be ugly football. Mon, what do you think? Giants-Browns.
I think the Browns are going to get their second win. I think the Giants are absolutely horrible. Brian Daboll could lose his job. They are not a good football team. Playing against Cleveland, I think Cleveland wins 24-14, and I think I'm being generous giving the Giants 14 points. Cleveland's going to win this game. Giants are not a good football team.
Mon, this game to me is going to set offensive football back for the next 50 years. This is 2 of the worst offenses in football right now, 2 of the worst quarterbacks in our league, Mon. Neither one of these guys would even back up Joe Burrow. Deshaun Watson versus Daniel Jones, to me, is a game that nobody wants to watch. I do think Cleveland will win it, again, in a game that is going to set NFL football back for 50 years. The Browns win 9-6 against the New York Giants. 9-6 is my score on. We're going to watch 5 field goals be kicked. It's going to be absolutely atrocious football. All right, Chargers at Steelers. Mon, I'll go ahead and let you take this one as well. I feel like maybe – actually, I'll take this one. Here we go. Chargers at Steelers. When we talk about bad offenses, Mon, the first team that pops in my head is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have won 2 games, but the offense looks absolutely like it's going backwards. Obviously, again, another team that's got a very good defense, and the only reason that this team even has a chance of winning a football game is that defense. I think this is actually a blowout. I think the Chargers beat the Steelers 24-10, and I think I'm being generous giving the Steelers 10 points against the Chargers, to be honest with you.
Well, interesting. What was that score again?
24-10, LA Chargers.
Okay, interesting. I got the LA Chargers winning also. I think the Steelers are a dangerous team. They're going to be in every game this year because of that defense. Their defense is good. They put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. But I think Harbaugh is going to have his team ready. He knows what the Steelers are about. The Steelers just can't score any points. They're if the Chargers come in, don't turn the ball over, they will pull away at the end. I have the exact same score, 24-10.
No, you do not.
I do. Yeah, I do.
That's funny. What would be the over under, Mon, talking about the two Harbaughs, that the Harbaugh in LA would be 2-0 and the one in Baltimore would be 0-2? How crazy of a world that we live in. All right, so we both have the Chargers dismantling the Pittsburgh Steelers for their first loss of the year. Ravens I think it's at Cowboys, right? I think it's at Cowboys. Yes,
it is.
Ravens at Cowboys. Mon, who you got?
Eric's head's exploding. You know what? I tell you, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Predicting the Ravens to go 0-3 at the start of the season, I mean, you would think you need medication to say that. Dallas was humiliated last week at home against the New Orleans Saints. Absolutely humiliated. What do you do here? Are they going to get beat at home 2 weeks in a row? Are the Ravens going to lose 3 in a row? There's no way Dallas loses 2 in a row at Jerry's World. Absolutely, it's not going to happen. I got the Cowboys winning 24-14. Aaron's Baltimore Ravens will be 0-3. 0-3. Cowboys 24-14.
Wait till I tell you my score. All right, so I'm with you. I'm with you, Mon. I think the Baltimore Ravens right now are reeling. Again, I know we're both 0-2, but the Cincinnati Bengals showed life. The Ravens have not shown any life as far as I'm concerned. They have played 2 very bad football games, and it's going to be 3. The Dallas Cowboys are going to beat this team by 2 scores. I have the Cowboys winning this game 27-17. And again, I think the Baltimore Ravens are 0-3, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day. All right, here we go. Bengals at Commanders. Am I supposed to be going first on this one? Do you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
I'll go first. I'll go
first. Here we go.
Yeah, okay. The good guys are going to win their first game. Paycor Stadium, downtown Cincinnati, Monday Night Football. It's going to be electric. I think there'll be some there's going to be some things happen in the game that's going to make you mad. Washington has a lot of good players. I think their defense is very capable. They're playing on Monday night also. They're going to play tough. Cincinnati's going to come out, be consistent. They'll pull away at the end. Cincinnati Bengals are going to win this game 31-10. Joe Burrow with 3 touchdown passes.
Mon, this is starting to creep me out. Now, you and I have done this for a long time. I think this is the first time ever we've picked the exact same winners, and the scores are almost, I picked 9-6, so I guess I can't say that. But listen, Mon, the Cincinnati Bengals are about to have a day on Monday Night Football. This offense is going to light it up. And I don't disagree with you. I do think I do think the Commanders have capable players. But this Bengals team is going to win this football game, and they are going to win it big, 35-10. I think Joe Burrow has a day. I think T. Higgins comes back and has a day. And this Bengals passing game lights it up on Monday Night Football. And everybody in Bengaldom is happy once again as the Cincinnati Bengals go to 1-2 and get in the win column. So there's our picks, Mon. We both have the Bengals. We both have the Cowboys. We both have the Chargers, and we both have the Brownies. Although, again, like I said, if you are going to watch that Browns-Giants game, just understand that that's not what real football looks like. But that is what we have there for the scores. Again, make sure you comment and let us know what you think the outcomes of these games are going to be. We would love to hear from you guys, especially on Twitter. Make sure you let us know, Mon. Did you want to say something, bud? You're muted.
Sorry, dog was barking. I wanted to talk quickly. We didn't mention it earlier. I wanted to talk about this. CBS came out with their ranking or the ratings for that Kansas City game at 425 last week. It was the highest rated CBS afternoon football game since 1998. The Bengals and the Chiefs are must-see TV. And we talked about the stadium. We talked about the renovations and all this money. Cincinnati, their football team was the highest rated 4 o'clock game since 1998. That brings notoriety and prestige to your city. I wish the guys would have won, but hey, the Bengals are. We talk about the Bengals just being a regional sports team. They have a national following. Yeah, they're not the Cowboys, they're not the Steelers. I get it, but the Bengals have a lot of fans in every state in this union. So it right there, Eric just pulled it up. Look at that. I mean, that's the highest rated 4 o'clock show,
That's
4 o'clock
crazy.
football game since 1998. That's impressive.
That's crazy. I mean, again, people know that this is the two best teams right now in football. They are. This is becoming one of the best rivalry games in the NFL. Again, Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, the two best quarterbacks in the NFL. Again, I've said this before. It's Joe Burrow, it's Patrick Mahomes, and there is a large gap from those two guys. People want to see the two best quarterbacks battling it out. It's like when Brady played Peyton Manning, right? It's that kind of game. And I think, if I'm correct, they've played each other 5 times, and every single game has either been 3 points, and then the last one was a 1-point game. I mean, this is the two best quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's two of the best teams in the NFL.
How about that last part there? Paramount, CBS, the most streamed regular season game of all time for them.
It's crazy.
It was the most. It was a great game. Absolutely fun to watch. I was at work today at my other job teaching at the college. The students and the adjuncts there were talking about it, and they're reaping. I mean, just giving the Bengals so much praise. God, it was such a good game. It was a tough way to lose, but
I
wish they would have won.
That's what I wanted to say, and I think that's what pisses me off more than anything about that last call is whether or not you think it's defensive pass interference or not. You cannot make that call at that moment. You have this incredible football game that has just been played, and instead of people talking about this game, it ends up being the focus of this terrible call. And I hate that. I hate when games are decided not by the players, but by the referees. That is a call that should not have been made. Whether you think it's pass interference or not, that is a call that shouldn't have been made and is usually not made. I would say 99% of the time. And again, I don't want to get into that because we've moved on from that game.
Jake, I just want to say one thing. I know I don't want to talk about it anymore, but Bill Belichick, he's not coaching this year. He's a regular on all the shows on Manning Cast last night. He actually mentioned it. It wasn't on the Manning Cast, though. He said, yeah, he goes, he got there a little early. It was pass interference. He goes, but I've been coaching a long time. He goes, that play's not called a lot.
It's not.
He goes, I mean, I get it. He said, he admitted, he goes, it's a 50-50 thing. He goes, yeah, he got there a tad early. I could see where the flag is thrown. He goes, but he goes, half the referees wouldn't even throw the flag on that.
No,
so that's what I'm trying to say. If it's a 50-50 thing, hey, at that time in the game, if Dijon Anthony grabbed him by the face mask and yanked him down or just pulled him back, hey, man, that's pass interference.
Of course.
If he's wrapping his arm, that's pass interference. But if it's a 50-50 game, this is Bill Belichick saying this. This isn't some yahoo. This is somebody that knows the NFL. And he said, yeah, okay, he did get there a tad early. I could see where he threw the flag. He goes, but at the same time, we got to be real. He didn't say got to be real. He goes, I've seen a lot of guys that just a lot of refs that wouldn't have thrown that flag. So I don't know. I was thinking that's
right. I mean, it is a bad look. It's a bad look for the NFL that flag was thrown because of all the heat that they have gotten from, and it's deservingly. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs. Let me throw. I don't want to get off on this, but I do want to say this is a crazy stat I saw today. Patrick Mahomes has had 17 interceptions overturned in his 6-year career, Mon. 17 picks that he has had overturned in just 6 years. Tom Brady had 17 interceptions overturned in his 23-year career, Mon. The best that has ever played the game. It took 23 years, 17 more than Patrick Mahomes, to have the same amount of interceptions called back. That is a bad look for the NFL, Mon. I don't care what anybody says.
I hear what you're saying, and a lot of Chiefs fans that are going to be trolling us, and they were on Twitter. Hey, a penalty's a penalty. Okay, hey, that's fine. But we know the way sports works. Every major sport. When it comes to a critical point in the game, it has to be an absolute no-brainer penalty to throw the flag. If it's a 50-50 thing, listen, I get both sides. He did get there a little early. I agree with Belichick. But Belichick is like, I've seen worse pass interference that weren't called. And 4th and 16, you can say whatever you want. That is like a Hail Mary pass. That's a total desperation thing.
It's a desperation pass.
The two judges, the main up, there was holding going on. They're not going to throw a flag on the last play of the game.
Nope.
And our guys were getting held. It was a headlock. They're not going to throw a flag there. Come on. And it was just it was one of those things.
It's a bad look for the NFL. I don't care what anybody says, and I'm not crying about it. The game's over. You can't change it. But it's a bad look for the NFL when it's just continuously happening. The hold in the Super Bowl. I mean, the Chiefs, it's just a bad look. It is. It's a bad look, and you could say what you want to say, but it's a bad look. I want to say one
last thing. Joe Burrow was obviously upset about it, but he handled it with class. He didn't handle it like Pat Mahomes in the Buffalo game where he's cussing out, screaming. It was rip off, this and that. Hey, man, he was stoic about it. You could tell it was affecting him, but he's not going to sit there and whine about it. I'm not going to talk about the Chiefs anymore. We'll see you in January. We'll see you in January, I hope.
That's the difference. Again, we don't have to get into that, but that's why Joe Burrow is who he is, and that's why Patrick Mahomes is a clown, right? I mean, that's why it is.
He's a Hall of Famer, Jake. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a good
player. Is, but he's a clown. Yeah. He's a clown. His brother's a clown. I mean, they're clowns. I don't know what to tell you. All right, so let's he is a Hall of Famer, but he is a clown. But I agree. I don't want to talk about the Chiefs anymore. We'll see you guys hopefully in January. If you make it, because I know we will definitely be there. All right, that is another edition of the Bengals Pulse. As always, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you check us out on all the awesome podcast platforms, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. If you like this podcast, make sure you give us that 5-star review. We very much appreciate that. Follow Mon on Twitter at the follow. I've done that 2 shows in a row. Follow Mon on Twitter at the Fire Mon. You'll get updates on the mustache. I mean, it's just nonstop greatness from Mon on Twitter. Follow me,
ladies.
On Twitter.
It's coming back, ladies. It's coming back.
Follow me on Twitter at Coach Jake Owens 9. Follow Eric on Twitter at eFlash with 2 H's 88. Follow the Cincinnati Podcast Network on Twitter at Cincinnati Pod. And as always, follow the Bengals Pulse on Twitter at Bengals_Pulse 9. On Instagram, the same, without the @ Bengals_Pulse9. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, guys, and get all the awesome Bengals Pulse news and updates. Yes, Edmonton Oilers. Is it almost hockey time again?
It is, baby.
Oh my God!
One of my teams, two of my teams is going to win the championship this year: Edmonton and the Cincinnati Bengals. Mark it down.
All right, guys. He is Mon. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse. Hoo day, Bengal fans. We will see you Monday night after the game.
Love you guys. We appreciate you.
Yes.